The industry is huge, representing $20 billion of investment in farms and factories. It's relied on by individual Australians for its fine foods and valued by the whole nation for its country jobs and massive export earnings. But reaching this peak and staying there demands a huge commitment to food safety, animal health and welfare, and care for the environment. What follows is an account of how the Australian dairy industry responds to managing risk and assuring quality. Although it's as old as the nation and constantly changing, Australia's dairy industry remains one of the few in the world still accurately described as family-owned and pasture-based. Cows graze on pastures year-round, free of significant diseases such as foot and mouth, BSE, brucellosis and TB. The scale of the 9,000 dairy farms in Australia is large, with herds between 150 and 800 cows. Yet most of these businesses are still family concerns, their closely focused expertise held in family partnerships. The structure of the milk manufacturing sector is also distinctive. Although some major international brands are represented, many of the 200 firms in Australia are farmer-owned cooperatives. Just 10 companies process most of the milk. The bulk of the industry is spread across southeastern Australia. Its products are fresh milk, yoghurt, ice cream, cheese, butter and powders, as well as ingredients for other food. Despite strong demand for fresh milk and dairy products locally, about half the national output goes to export. Eager buyers for powders, cheese and butter from around 120 countries buy the rest. Altogether, the dairy industry is worth more than $9 billion a year to Australia's economy, the nation's number 3 rural exporter. Dairying directly employs around 100,000 people on farms, in farm services and in factories and transport. So what lies behind the claims that the dairy industry sets and achieves very high standards, not only for the quality of food it produces, but also for the care of its animals and the environment? The foundation is quality science and record keeping. Continual improvement is achieved through a whole-of-chain partnership. Farmers, suppliers, service providers, dairy companies and government are involved all the way. Dairy farms must have a licence and a HACCP-based food safety plan. The food safety plans are an integral part of the dairy company's quality assurance programs. Those programs also include additional requirements for the health and welfare of animals and environment. Licensed auditors approved by governments ensure the integrity of these farm QA programs. The quality beacon shines brightly across the whole industry, beginning on farm. There, all year round, cows graze paddocks of high-quality pasture and feed crops. Australian farmers excel at producing grass, legumes and fodder crops that grow quickly and are high in energy and protein. Surpluses are conserved as hay or silage for supplementary feeding. Irrigation promotes maximum growth across the drier months. Great attention is paid to innovation and efficiency to get maximum benefit from minimum amounts of energy and water. Land care is central to Australian dairy farming. There is unceasing attention to revegetation for controlling salinity and erosion and the provision of shelter for stock and havens for wildlife. Farmers also fence off waterways to keep stock from damaging and polluting watercourses. Everywhere, every day, there is innovation and ever closer management to make sure dairy herds are healthy and productive. Farms have laneways and movable fences so the cows can walk to fresh food every day. And at every milking, each cow is checked to make sure she is in good health. They are routinely vaccinated against preventable illnesses and drenched to control intestinal parasites and disorders. Sick animals may be treated with pharmaceuticals. Strict regulations cover all of these. Most must be approved by the Australian Government's Pesticides and Veterinary Medicines Authority. And many veterinary medicines, including all antibiotics, must be dispensed by the farmer's veterinarian. Regulated medicines must be refrigerated and kept safe and secure. Record keeping is mandatory. Treatments are logged, identifying each cow and showing the treatments she receives. Post-treatment responsibilities and withholding periods for meat and milk are documented and strictly observed. To make management at milking easier, individual treatments are often recorded in the shed as well. And treated stock may be marked with paint to make it easier for all milking staff to identify. The Australian Government's National Livestock Identification System requires all cows be marked with a small electronic ear tag with a unique identifying code. The tag stays with the animal all its life. Ownership details are updated on the national database every time the animal is sold. Most farmers also use a simple ear tag for easy visual recognition. Biosecurity is important to farmers. They want to keep their herds healthy and disease-free. They want to know about the health and performance of animals they buy or lease and want to keep track of each animal. Care of the animals continues throughout their lactation cycle, even when they are not producing milk. For example, dry cows graze separately and receive special treatments to manage mastitis and minimise its impact during lactation. Generally, the bulk milk cell count from most herds is under 250,000 cells per millilitre, with many herds testing at less than half that. This is because mastitis control receives industry-wide attention. The industry's own program, Countdown Down Under, provides courses, books and support materials for farmers and their advisors. The dairy industry invests heavily in professional development. There are training courses for virtually every aspect of the business, such as improving the efficiency and quality of milking, reducing stress on animals and staff, improving herd fertility, and increasing protein levels in milk. Australian farmers place great emphasis on feeding their cows well. Pasture varieties are specially selected. Cows move to fresh pasture every day. Fodder crops, such as turnips, are grown to fill seasonal feed gaps. And at milking, there are always supplements to boost energy and protein. These are usually based on hay or silage made from excess pasture or purpose-grown crops such as barley or corn. Grain is also added. Outdoor feed pads are used by some farmers to provide supplementary feeds or total mixed rations. These are either brought in as a premix or mixed on farm, blending farm-produced and purchased components. And even here there is no relaxing of quality assurance. The suppliers of grain or other feeds must provide declarations about the feed's compliance with regulations. These cover the exclusion of restricted animal materials and assurances relating to withholding periods following the application of pesticides or herbicides. Water is freely available to all stock in the paddocks. The payoff for all this care and industry-wide integrated quality control is quality milk and healthy animals. Specifically, it means more milk, fat and protein from cows with fewer healthcare costs and improved reproduction. We think of the cow as the foundation of the industry, but it's calving that brings on lactation and sets up a farmer's herd for the future. Pregnant cows are kept near the farm operations and are monitored closely. After delivery, attention is given to ensuring that the calves get colostrum from the first milk, which provides high immune benefits. The calves are then moved to a clean environment to reduce the chance of them picking up gut pathogens and infections from adult animals. Special sheds or paddocks with shelters protect them from the weather. All calves are given unique identification tags. Surplus calves destined for the meat industry are monitored closely and only transported when they are fit and strong and at least 4 days old. Heifers designed to be replacement milkers stay in specialist calf housing for about a month and are fed on milk or milk replacement diets before being weaned and sent to paddocks away from the adult herd. They are the farm's future. During the year and a half or so that it takes for the heifers to grow to become strong, healthy and high-performing cows, farmers ensure the calves receive special care, feeding and monitoring. Sometimes the task is contracted to specialist calf rearers. This early pattern of care and attention extends across the whole of the animal's life, making sure that whatever their age, they have ample feed and shelter, such as shade trees or sheds, and easy access watering points. Cows are usually milked in the morning and afternoon. In some high-performance herds they are milked 3 times a day and in others just once. Australian dairies use either rotary or herringbone milking systems. There are currently only 2 robotic systems in operation, but research is showing potential benefits. All milking cups use gentle pulse vacuum extraction to collect the milk released by the cow. The milk is cooled to below 5 degrees within 3.5 hours and kept at that temperature in a refrigerated vat. In most dairies, the cups are applied by milking staff who monitor the cow's health and check the udder for signs of mastitis. If the cow appears unwell, she'll be drafted from the herd and given a closer examination. Depending on the cause of the illness, a vet may also be called to examine and treat the animal. Cows that have been treated for any illness are marked. Their milk is sidelined and discarded for the specified withholding period. Great attention is given to maintaining milking equipment at peak efficiency to ensure cow comfort, avoid mechanically caused mastitis and reduce sources of infection. Industry-registered technicians maintain the equipment to ensure it meets industry standards. Milking equipment and sheds are cleaned after every milking using cleaning agents and water. Vats are cleaned after every tanker pickup. Only specially approved chemicals may be used for cleaning milking equipment. On farm, they must be stored safely and securely. Effluent from the milking area and holding yards is collected in special ponds. It's allowed to settle and the water periodically used to fertilise paddocks. This is managed to maximise the nutrient benefit for the crop or pasture and to minimise health or environmental risks such as overflow into neighbouring waterways. After milking, the milk is stored in refrigerated vats until it's collected by milk tanker. As each load is picked up, samples are collected for lab analysis. The dairy companies use these samples to make sure the milk complies with the required standards and to determine the milk's composition and quality. The results also provide the basis for paying to the farmer, including quality-related discounts or premiums. After the milk is pumped from the tanker, it's placed in silos ready for pasteurising, processing and packaging. From here, it's the companies that take over the assurance baton. One of the first things they do is provide feedback to farmers within hours of picking up the milk from the vat. Cell counts, fat, protein, all this and more is either faxed or available online so that farmers know exactly the quality of the milk they're producing. The standards and assurances continue along the processing pathway, giving people confidence in the safety, quality and nutritional value of Australian dairy foods and ingredients.